Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into quite a charged situation unfolding, or at least being reported on.
That's right. We've got this source material describing, well, what sounds like significant concern in France.
Yeah, specifically about perceived support for Captain Ibrahim Traoré, particularly in parts of Africa and even among Black Americans. This comes after some kind of failed coup attempt mentioned in the text.
hmm And our aim here is really to try and understand what's behind this reported French panic, as the source almost puts it.
And also explore why this international support, the support the source describes, might be happening.
Okay, so right off the bat, the language describing the French minister's reaction is pretty intense. We're seeing words like anger, concern.
It definitely signals more than just, political disagreement. It feels like a deeper worry.
Exactly. And the trigger, according to this text, is the backing Tarai seems to be getting.
Right, across different continents, and specifically following this failed coup.
Which, we should note, the source doesn't detail heavily. But a failed coup, in this kind of context, usually implies a pretty serious challenge to the status quo, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the support isn't just like neighboring countries. The source makes a bold claim that Traore's become a continental symbol.
Even a global icon, that's quite a statement.
It is, and the evidence they offer is, well, it's these reported chants, Traoré, Traoré, growing across Africa, Sahel to the Horn.
But also, and this is maybe the more surprising part.
Yeah, places like Atlanta, apparently,
Sure.
Latin American barrios, Southeast Asia even, that's a really wide net.
It is, and the source clearly interprets this spread, this chanting, as something significant, a movement shaking the very foundations of neo-colonial control.
So the idea is that this isn't just about Traoré or Burkina Faso, but it plugs into this wider feeling against perceived long-standing influence from former colonial powers.
That seems to be the argument, yes, that this sentiment is resonating with very different groups, far beyond the immediate region.
Then there's this quote, which is fascinating, an unnamed French individual.
Oh, yeah, the one blaming Macron.
Exactly, saying Macron is responsible for opening the eyes of Africans. The source calls it rare honesty.
Which hints, maybe, at some internal French debate or acknowledgement about their own policies and their effects.
Okay. It certainly raises that big question the source poses.
Right, is this awakening, as they call it, down to Macron's recent actions, or is it something bigger?
Something
Hmm.
deeper, more inevitable, like a tide turning regardless of specific policies.
The source seems to lean towards that second idea. It concludes pretty strongly.
Saying no amount of diplomacy, disinformation, or denial can stop what has already begun.
It paints a picture of unstoppable momentum almost, something beyond the reach of normal statecraft.
It's interesting how this one event, this failed coup, whatever the specifics were, is presented as the spark.
Yeah, igniting this really broad, geographically diverse reaction, framed entirely as a challenge to neocolonialism.
Suggesting Traore's actions, or perhaps just his symbolic position now, tapped into something that was already simmering.
A pre-existing well of discontent, yeah, across various communities globally.
Okay, so let's sort of recap. We've got France reportedly very anxious about this international support for Traoré following a failed coup.
Support shown through these widespread chants, which the source interprets as a major challenge to neocolonial influence.
And internally, maybe some finger-pointing towards Macron, but also this sense that it might be part of a larger, unavoidable shift.
Exactly. It suggests a potential crack in those established global influence structures, where a local figure or event can suddenly gain this huge international resonance.
And be seen as representing a bigger shift in consciousness about sovereignty and external control.
Precisely.
So thinking about that, given we have so few details on the actual failed coup, and this support is popping up in such varied places, what else might be going on underneath? What other factors could be feeding into these feelings the source describes?
That's the real question, isn't it?
It definitely raises more questions for you, the listener, about how power and influence are really working and maybe changing right now. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.